Agnieszka, where are we going? The ChessKid National Festival? You got it.
ChessKid stream.
That's right. Go to the ChessKid video section. We have not erased your videos. Your legend lives on in ChessKid land.
And it's funny, you know, I'm talking. It's so awesome to be here, and all the kids coming up, and they all tend to want to tell you the story of their favorite video, their favorite moment, and the resounding winner is the fair play video we did long ago, where I think I was acting like the cheater, right?
Yeah.
That was the deal.
Yeah.
A lot of kids want to talk to me about that. So I think we made an impact. So let's hope that's a positive thing for the future of kids knowing the rules and understanding that you don't want to cheat at chess.
Yeah, go watch that video later. Much like any sitcom, you played the role of the buffoon well.
Yes,
and
yes,
I was
did.
The straight man.
And the kid was like asking me like if I actually cheated. I said no, it's acting. And he's like, "You're not an actor." I'm like, "Yeah, I am. I'm a paid actor."
You were acting.
I was acting.
Genius.
I don't even know the reference you're going.
See, this is where you're a child of the 90s, not the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do old SNL skits later. John Lovitz. Sorry about that. But we have 500 kids playing a live tournament here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we are streaming from the Charlotte Convention Center. This is round 2, and I'm really excited because we don't get to appear on the ChessCom events page very often. Yeah. And I don't get all these bells and whistles and eval bars and everything. So you're making my life easy here because I get all these little cheat codes.
Yeah, this is a fantastic position to analyze. This is a closed Sicilian Grand Prix attack, and obviously it's, well, not obviously, I'll just say, but Andrew Wu is the top board in the K8 section, so it's also a game of stakes and relevance, and this is probably one we'll focus on because I think this is an opening a lot of kids play when they don't want to start their early chess career with tons of open Sicilian theory, Najdorf, and you go into some of the crazy lines that require a lot of memorization. This idea for white to not go for that and to try to castle early in the hopes of launching a kingside attack is a very popular one that coaches tend to teach their students.
Yeah, and sometimes white just plays f5 as a pawn sack just to open the f-file. By the way, kids, I know that white has pushed the f-pawn without my written permission, but we are in the K8 championship section here, and sometimes to beat the best, you got to break some rules. Andrew Wu is a near master. So do you think we're going to see an f5 push? Because black is putting every single force he has aiming at that square. It might be a little bit too early.
Yeah, well, it's funny because white is perhaps showing his or her inexperience. I admit that I do not know Linga, so whoever Linga is, I will be gender neutral on that, and I will say that white didn't actually play the most popular line right here. It's actually often critical that white plays a move like f5, even at the risk of a pawn sacrifice right now. And the idea is, of course, you see the eval bar liking black, but if white can open up some lines, you'll start to get some really, really crazy tactics, and we can even well, it's cool. We've actually got all kinds of bells and whistles. We can see that some fun lines here would be that white actually can go for things like e takes f5, and as the position opens up, you can basically throw everything and the kitchen sink at the idea that when this knight moves somewhere, I'm just going to throw it. I don't even know if it works, but I'm going to do it. Bishop takes f7 check, and just kind of showing some of the dangers of what white is trying to do. But the problem is, just to end the point, Linga either didn't know the line or perhaps forgot what they were supposed to do, because retreating the bishop another square rather than completing development, probably not ideal. And that's going to leave all of these pieces sort of stepping on their toes to try to get out. And I always like to say that a bishop in front of a pawn is like an old lady who swallowed the fly. She blocks the pawn blocks the bishop disconnects the rook, which means you never complete development, which means chain reaction chess. We got problems if we're white.
Yeah, bishops move 3 times. It's almost like the Kopek Grand Prix. Yeah. Mixing systems here, but white needs to know how to sack the pawn. Fun fact, I've played the Grand Prix once in my life. Knew I was going to play Greg Shahadi. Knew that he didn't like the Grand Prix. Woke up 10 minutes before the round, opened up bats for chess openings. He told me to sack the pawn on f5. I play f5 on move 6. He offers me a draw. So there you go. You have to sack that f-pawn. I don't even know what I was doing, but I know how thematic that is. So we will see if white eventually just throws that pawn down the board, but right now, lack of space for white for sure.
Agreed. And now the question is, we'll get to a different game here.
Click on event and see what happens.
Click on this one right here?
No, on the event right there. Yeah.
The event. Okay, and then we've got different games we can go to. Okay,
I'll go to board 2 in the K8 championship.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
More chess here. We're gonna try to do this golf style. You know, I was watching golf this last weekend, and one thing I realized that they do very well is you're talking about a show that basically runs from like 7 a.m. until it's dark.
Yeah.
and they go hole to hole, and they're pretty much showing the biggest moments
Right.
or the worst moments. Someone missing a putt versus making a putt, or some
Right.
sort of amazing long drive. And I was like, I think sometimes in our chess coverage we forget that everyone can watch the game at chess.com/events for those who want to see the whole thing.
Mhm.
But otherwise, like, we could go bouncing around to one critical moment after another, and that might be I'm speaking generally right now to all chess commentators because I'm always thinking about how we can present chess in different ways to broader audiences. So we're going to do that. We're going to bounce around and just try to find some highlights in every game.
That sounds good. I think in these kind of positions, white wants the bishop to go backward for the queen to come up in front of the bishop and
discipline.
apply a lot of pressure. Yeah, I will tell you, whenever your opponent makes a backward move, that is a time to put on your spidey senses because something is usually up when something goes backward. It doesn't necessarily mean your opponent is retreating or defending for, to be anodyne. There could actually be something virulent about this move. Sorry, I've been hanging out with Danya too much, and he's
Tanya does that.
he
His
messes
vocabulary.
up my vocabulary, yeah, or improves it.
For those at home who can't see it, we have a live audience here, and I'm realizing I'm going to work on getting us another monitor right here so that they can see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because you guys are sitting here listening. Oh, you've got it on the phone. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's great. But it's also on a delay, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, only 5 seconds.
But we're,
Okay,
we're
great.
much younger on that delay. We looked a lot better
Okay,
5 seconds
that's
ago.
good.
Yeah.
Chess.com has extreme delays for all kinds of fair play reasons. People may or may not follow cheating controversies in the world of chess. One of my jobs. So that's fantastic that you're not too far delayed.
I'm
So
expecting, by the way,
I'm gonna highlight a square. I just want to test it. I'm gonna
Perfect.
highlight a square. Raise your hand when you see which square I highlighted.
video audience on pins and needles wondering which square we highlighted. Who bought the latest iPhone?
Okay,
Oh!
nice. So you're on the same delay that the audience at home is, so that's not too bad. All right, but we'll work on that. All right.
That was a fun
Cool.
test. I was going to tell the audience, you should be extra sharp in your broadcast today because you just got done doing an hour of puzzles in the worldwide premiere
That's right.
of a puzzle B. You went toe-to-toe with some kids who had 3,000 plus puzzle ratings, and WGM Jennifer Shahadi faced off against you. But anyway, you got the tougher puzzles, but that's the nature of our puzzle system.
It was awesome. So just for the fans at home to know, Jen Shahadi is officially Puzzle B champion. She won. It came down to us solving puzzles over 3,000, and I do think even Jen would agree that I kind of got unlucky.
You did.
She got one that is a tough one, but honestly kind of a well-known theme when you've seen it, like a puzzle book problem. I got one that we were sitting there as a crowd, and all the kids were helping us, and we literally couldn't get the answer.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. But shout out to all the kids. I see one of the moms here of the kid who made it very far. So
And we'll put that on ChessKid socials. We'll put a little wrap up on it. Maybe we'll make it a televised thing one day. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a kid from all 50 states qualifying for an in-person Puzzle Bee championship. But back to this game, C5. Does that mess up White's plans at all?
It was funny. This is obviously some high-level chess. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is one of the top boards in the K8 section, board 2 actually. So this is obviously some opening theory. It's funny because Mike mentioned White with the idea of backing up the bishop and trying to create a checkmate battery on the long diagonal. And there's also usually ideas of putting a knight on e5, which is sort of similar in that you're hoping if black takes it, you can get rid of this knight on f6, which helps that idea. But c5 and putting pressure on the center will make that a little hard for White, because the more threats you can create against the center, the harder it is typically to focus on one edge of the board. Often we give students advice that if you're losing in the flank attack or the race, open the center. So c5 is a great move to just start to put some pressure. And black can also put a knight on e4. So honestly, the computer likes White a little bit in this position typically, but I think this one has plenty of chess ahead. It'll be fun to see what happens. Oh, let's go back to board 1, because Linga did back up the bishop, which I wasn't thrilled about. It looks like a big old pawn chain with some sort of Franken pawn in the middle. But they did also eventually get f5. So something is trying to happen here, although it's pretty funny to see that the computer really likes black in this position.
Yeah, in fact, if the knight takes the bishop, it's still going to take forever and a day for the dark square bishop to come out. And White, because black's light squares are so safe around the king, White might want to switch to an f6 or a dark square attack, but you can't do that without your dark square bishop. So the combination of those two factors makes it hard for White to break through here.
True. I'm going to go to this one. I'm spying some positions. I see a fun position here. We've got Anthony and Steven facing off. This is board 5 of the K8, but whenever I see a queen on G6, I assume something crazy is about to happen. So let's go there, see if we can catch some highlight chess.
Yeah, this is the K8 under 1500 section, but I could see Harry the H-Pawn making his first appearance in the broadcast because I was looking at sacks, but I tell kids all the time, if your position is lovely, you don't need to risk it with a sack.
Yeah.
And there are no biscuits involved. And by the way, I just want to congratulate everybody who took the over on number of minutes before Danny breaks into a foreign accent. We had it at 12 minutes. If he took the over,
That's
then,
right.
Yeah, he's still playing it straight.
I forget. You know, it's funny because I don't do ChessKid content anymore, and
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like when I'm on the chess.com broadcast, I can push the envelope.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
some of the jokes can get a little edgier.
Well,
so I feel like I forget that accents don't have to be included in my no playlist on the ChessKid broadcast.
That's fair, and also your torch has been passed to Tani, who has mastered some of your accents.
Okay, great.
His Australian is on point. His Russian needs a little work, but he is carrying on your legacy.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Interesting stuff here. We've got a position where white is just better for those looking to position like me and sort of racking their head about how white breaks through to checkmate. I want to just point out that the most important factor here is that white is just up a pawn, and I almost forgot that, right? You join the position and you're looking for some sort of checkmate, and that's why the computer loves white. But actually, somehow white just won a pawn straight up earlier in this game, and it was right here where black backed up the bishop and just forgot that he couldn't defend the pawn. So very, very simple chess. That's what got us in this position. And I think Mike is right that Harry the H-pawn getting involved and for an attack will probably happen. But now black is kind of all in. I always say when you push pawns in front of your king, often the best move later is to move a pawn backward. And of course, as we know, that is not legal. So this position is probably going to get more and more dangerous for black.
And don't forget, kids, don't attack a piece if you're making it go where it wants to go anyway. I would argue that knight wants to go to h4 because f5 is so juicy. So I see this happen so often in kids' chess. They attack a piece, and then that piece goes to a lovely square, and it shows me maybe they weren't thinking in terms of strings of moves. They were just like, oh, I can go here and attack the knight. And if your thinking is limited to, oh, neat, I can go here, you're not going far enough into the position. So when a pawn moves, it weakens the squares beside it. That knight is going to h4. Either that or I'll eat my shirt. And by the way, nice job mailing it in here with the ChessCom show. I went full collar.
I did bring a jacket,
Yeah, that's
and
all right.
but I didn't know.
That's all
I
right.
was worried you were going to tell me, Danny, you need to wear a jacket. So I brought it, but until you tell
You
me,
travel
I'm
cross
not
country
going to
for
throw
me.
it
That
on.
means a lot. You don't have to dress up for me. But knight h4, knight f5 is going to be tough here.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. Knight h4, knight h5, just as Mike said. It's going to be tough. And we're going to go back to the event. So we've got a lot of kids playing in the next room, just FYI.
We've got some
wondering.
kids joining us here in the live room, and they finally get to see what is it like for commentary, and they're now realizing, oh, it's just them talking.
It's just them talking in a room. There's nothing magical going on. In fact, you're often just talking to yourself and hoping that people are listening. It's happening right now. It's a very out-of-body experience, honestly. But I'm going to personally go to Best Buy and buy a monitor for everyone, and we're gonna duplicate this display just so everyone sees what we're doing. Although I appreciate everyone following on their phone. All right. Where do you want to go next? I'm looking at chat for the first time.
Do you want to go to some of the younger kids? We've done all K8, but we've got some boards hooked up. I mean, imagine a fifth grader. You got a DGT board. I don't think I've ever played. So let's go to the top board in the K5 Championship, which is board 7.
There it is.
On our screen anyway.
Nice.
And we've got Krish Mahajan against
Alan Chen.
Alan Chen, exactly. And I'm going to do the material first. So
Yeah.
it looks equal. And it is white's move, okay? Actually quite symmetrical as well. I think in these closed positions, my first thought goes to a lever. And I think c4 is the natural one, but you do lose the b4 square. So if I was white, I'm putting a rook on the c file just for preemptive measures. Get my opponent thinking about c4.
What's funny is I feel like we're seeing a lot of closed positions in these games, although we had that one open Sicilian, but I'm starting to wonder if I'm getting the memo, or maybe I'm having deja vu from last night. We played a simul of 150 kids last night, which was a ton of fun. It was a tandem simul with me and you and Gotham and Jen, and I feel like we had so many London games. So somebody on our team was consistently playing a London.
Yeah.
Who is that person? And we need to find them and talk to them about it.
Yes, it was not me.
Because that person put us in a lot of odd positions.
I hung a few pieces, but it was
Good.
6 VIPs, 6
Yeah.
masters against 100+ kids.
It was amazing.
So we were making basically every 6th move. So I squandered a lot of winning positions.
It was the only thing more dangerous was today. For those again not on site, I see some kids in chat. We wish you were here too, but the dangerous thing today was Levy Rosman played a simul where kids had squirt guns, and they were spraying him with squirt guns the whole time. When do you get to spray a YouTuber with 4 million subscribers?
Today, and
Today.
Those kids were the lucky ones I just went out and grabbed. I just literally found 4 kids.
Yeah.
I got 4 yeses, and the only part of the body that Levy asked them not to shoot. I'll let you take a guess.
His shoes.
Yeah, he only has 1 pair. Right in the face, totally okay. And we got some great clips of, we had some crossfire. We had the kids teaming up and shooting all at the same time, like they were working together, working the system.
Amazing. Something instructive in the board 3 of the K5 section I'm going to jump to, so we can keep some fun highlights going. Somehow this became a bit of a French pawn structure, or perhaps a Nimzo-Indian, if I was to fully guess, but the opening is less relevant as the position here where Black's king is sitting on the same file as a rook, and it is white to play here, which means you have to be looking at the move f5. So it's funny, white chose not to play the move f5. I actually think the computer would say this was the best move. At the risk of opening up the center and losing that pawn, you're really getting so much stuff against the white king here that has to be okay. So funny, white chose not to go for that, but it's always instructive when you have a chance to throw caution to the wind and just go all in for a checkmate attack and not worry about the center. So white missed that and played knight to g3, but still, as long as they don't blunder the checkmate on g2, white is in control here.
That's not, F5's not just a lever, it's a lever 2000.
Yeah, lever
You know,
2000.
okay.
I do know what that is.
You got that one?
I did get that one.
We're looking for sponsorships, by the way, if that soap company still exists.
Oh my god.
You know what I do find though, in ChessKid terms,
Yeah.
if you invent a silly term, kids will remember the silly term.
Yep.
So it has its place in the.
Yesterday I had some of the simul reminded me of things I said in videos. It was so fun. Like the kids just have the best memories, and I guess they're watching the videos. But he asked me if I remembered when I said that there ain't no party like a B file party because a B file party don't stop.
Yeah.
And I said I had no idea what video that was from. And like he was quoting lines of videos. So all right,
they don't even know the source material, and they laugh.
And they laugh anyway. Yeah. So you become the original source.
Right.
Bishop e4 is an option for white if you want to get rid of one of black's only chances to attack. Again, I would imagine that f5 is also still pretty good for white. So, interesting game here, assuming that white stays aggressive. And one piece of advice, I guess, for the audience at home would be that the other reason a move like f5 should be considered is when you look at the type of pieces you have compared to your opponents, you should ask yourself, what do my pieces want? And white's rooks thrive in an open position. You could argue that if you could just take these pawns off the board magically somehow, white's road to victory is even easier because of what the rooks do that minor pieces don't. And I think sometimes we know that material, rook is worth 5, knights are worth 3, and we think that way. But often we forget that the basic thing about a chessboard is its geometry, and the type of movement your pieces have should be what you're aiming for. And so sometimes I would open up a position even if I lose a pawn, maybe even 2 pawns, because if my pieces are going to thrive in an open position, then it's time to go all in on that. So anyway, just more reasons why I would have played f5. I think bishop e4 is good, but again, f5 is the move I'm just screaming for here if I'm white.
Yeah, every move it doesn't happen, you and me both get a little bit of like itchiness under our skin because we would play it on this move, the next move, the move after that. But yeah, this is not one of the exceptions to the rules. The rook is definitely going to be better, even though the file's not opening it, they're going to open. So king level 53 on ChessKid, that's when you learn about exchange sacrifices. And yes, that actually is the accurate level.
You would know.
Yeah.
I remember the hotel in Orlando many years ago after a grade nationals where me and you and Eric and I think Christine sat down and first discussed that we needed to build lessons from 0 all the way up to king infinity.
Yeah.
Right? And remember that? That was actually...
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, that was the one big tournament that Eric came to. And I'm hoping he drops us another nice feature at this tournament at some point. But in any case, that was genius because kids now progress through our content in a very systematic way. It's not like Super Mario where you can warp. Super Mario, too young for you? You got it?
Don't even. I'm all about it.
Okay. We'll bring out the turtle shells later.
Yeah.
Okay, but kids now can progress at their own pace. And you know when a kid gets to king level 54, exactly what they've done to get there. By the way, though, one problem, we did not stop at king 100 because we had a vocal minority of kids that made it that far, and they're like, when's your next video? So now we have the super king levels. We're already up to super king 32, and I don't know what happens after super king. I think all my hair falls out.
Super king is, Super Saiyan, level 9,000. We go full Dragon Ball Z on this.
But yeah, we've got a ton of videos on ChessKid. I think I personally have done something in the 500, 600, 700 range. So parents that are here, when you come up to me and you present your child to me like a gift and you say, please tell my child the secret, I say, I think I've given you everything I can.
It's all on ChessKid.
I'm not holding anything back. Okay.
All on ChessKid. RJ BCK up in the Twitch chat. If you're here and you have a kid playing on a board that you'd like to see, go ahead and tell us the board. Right. I see your question. Let us know. We'll go to the board you want.
It must be an electronic board. We have about 3 or 4 electronic boards per section. So if your child is not on one of the DGT wooden boards, then we can only guess like you.
Indeed. I'm going to go back to the event. Continue to look for some fun games. 122. Oh, I'm sorry. No. So I misunderstood. Only the top boards have the DGT automatic relay, which allows us to cover them. So I actually don't know that we go as far as board 122. In fact, I said I don't know is like the fancy way of saying we definitely don't. And I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, we've got about the top 3 or 4 boards per section, including the K1. Imagine
Look at this.
A 5-year-old has his game or her game broadcast around the world. Knight versus bishop ending. Now, anything can happen when you're dealing with kindergartners and first graders, but let's orient ourselves here and first figure out where the pawns are going. White's pawn's going up.
And black has a choice. Okay, I actually love this move. This is the only way for black to keep the game going, and we're going to provide some instruction on it because any trade of even not just 1, but 2, you could argue even all 3 of these pawns get traded for this one black pawn, and white still wins the endgame, everyone, because white's king is so much closer to the only goal that matters, which is these pawns over here. We often call that deflection or distraction. You're using the pawn as a decoy just to win what matters in the end, which is whoever gets a queen. So if black starts taking these pawns, first of all, he can't win all of these pawns before this pawn is lost. But even if he could, to prove the point, white would still win because when this knight and bishop are gone, white's going to win. So this move causes some problems because if white gets into a race of h pawn for e pawn, I'm just going to show one line. If you start pushing and black pushes, and we get a position like this. Now, what's funny, at the end of this line, white actually can still stop black because you have the ability to bring this knight back with check. You can actually, let's see, I think...
You can go knight g4, king f1, knight e3,
and then you
F2,
get the knight to a square.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. But it's funny because in this position, you see, even I almost blundered that if white makes one mistake, look at that eval bar, that's a heart attack.
And your own g3 pawn gets in the way.
And now black wins.
Yeah.
So in an endgame, I would always say, and you can save a lot of lost endgames, what matters is not how many pawns you have left, but who gets a queen first. And so it's not working out for black, but this is a really, really tricky idea, and this was a very good move. White actually played the phenomenal sacrifice just to make sure that it goes away. Look at that, but black had a chance here if he just saves the bishop.
Yeah.
And then starts getting the pawn. So it actually worked out for black.
And a note to everybody at home, I'm so glad that you paused on this position because I don't know what the computer says. It probably says king takes g3 is -7 and king f3 is -8. And there's so many kids in the world that are like, oh, see, king takes g3 was better. But this is about actually having practical chances. And this is where the eval bar hides the true nature of the story. Black gives some chance for white to mess up, right? You have to give your opponent a banana peel to slip on. You can't just make it easy.
Yep.
And by the way, this is in no way in relation to my future chessable course, What to Do When You're Losing. But that is my next chessable course.
I love it.
It is positions like this.
Yep.
Turn the eval bar off, kids and adults, because king f3 is the best practical chance. If black didn't hang the bishop there, this is actually like a great example.
I love that you're doing a course on that. I feel like we talk too much in the world of computers where the answers are just in front of us. We think too much about the fact that, well, you just know the answers to play the best move. Well, have you ever been playing in a chess tournament with a ton of pressure, no time on your clock, and you're nervous? Like, I think the idea of what to do in positions when you're losing and how to create problems is a very under-taught, under-lectured on topic.
Yeah.
And I love that I didn't know you were doing that, but that's fantastic.
I've collected about 80 examples. I just have yet to record, but that is
amazing. Because in this example, again, black played this move that I loved, and if he doesn't play king to g4, if he saves the bishop, not only is black potentially drawing this game, like there's weird lines where, okay, it is still going to be a draw. But there you can take with check and take here. Like black would have been drawing the game, and there's weird ways that you could win if white isn't careful. So really, really interesting stuff.
And by the way, white's move, we can go back to where white played h5.
Yeah.
It's an even better example when your opponent plays the most natural move, and that is not the winning move. So I don't even know what the winning move was, but it wasn't h5. We can go back a move.
Yeah.
Like, you give me 2 seconds in this position, I'm going to play an h5. It just looks like the most natural
move. The best move is this.
Right.
Which is really tough because you have to go to the F pawn. So that was very hard for white to see. And so honestly, really good stuff. Looks like it is going to turn into a win for the first player here playing the white pieces because now you just have too many pawns. So we'll...
Okay.
Oh, in fact, right on cue, we got to see the ending. Black actually resigned. So congratulations to Dhruv for taking that game.
Yeah.
And let's go back to the top board we started with.
Love it.
Wow. This is, no, this is kind of how we left it. For some reason, my first memory wasn't white doing well? And then the answer was no, it was not a Grand Prix attack that was working out for white. That's the truth.
Well, white's a couple moves away from something. I mean, if you get your pawn to d3 and your bishop developed, I wonder if white's going to play b3 with the idea of either bishop b2 or b3 combined with a4. Because the a3 f8 diagonal could be a thing.
Yep.
But black's center should get going faster than white can develop the queen side. I think black is going to play e5 and organize his forces a little bit faster.
It's a good lesson for everyone that material are the things. Checkmate is at the top of the pyramid in chess, and then large amounts of material as far as how the computers and how we all love a certain position. But look at this position. It's equal in material, yet black is so much better. It shows you the power of development. Black is up a bishop, up a rook, and in the next move, black can play e5, bring the bishop out. So it shows you the power of controlling the board, and as long as black keeps up the pressure, this should be one that is just very, very tough for white, and eventually will become material. So many other games. This is we're back to this one was won. This was the one we left. I bet that knight did come to h4. Yeah, right when we left it. Anthony just plays a very good attack, and things get tough here. And white actually wins in, what was this? How many moves? Less than 20 moves, 16 moves.
Wow, and not a single pawn captured for white. You don't see that very often.
Yeah. A lot of resignations, too. I mean, I guess the K8 players are older, a little more mature, not necessarily being taught still to play every game out to checkmate, but I'm a little surprised, I guess, at the early resignation among kids.
I actually just recorded a video for ChessKid's YouTube channel where 2 very famous grandmasters played, and one of them missed mate and won. But that's not even the most interesting thing. The most interesting thing is it was actually Anand versus Ivanchuk. Now, it was a blitz game, but what's interesting is not that Ivanchuk missed mate and won, it's that Anand kept playing and moved his king and allowed the mate and won, like didn't resign. And it just goes to show you at any level of chess, you're 100% guaranteed to lose if you resign.
Yep.
And even if it's 1 in 1,000, you keep playing, you just never know.
Yeah, and I think it's often a better attitude anyway to keep playing, because not just because you never know, but there are instructive things that there are muscles you develop as a chess player from playing bad positions, and it's hard emotionally for all of us, right? No one likes to kind of get kicked while they're down, but I do think that there's a reason you see people like Hikaru, who's like kind of like the top of examples we reference when it comes to saving bad positions. The reason he does that is because he's practiced it a lot. It's the 10,000 hours theory. You have to put your time in playing bad positions and sort of remove your emotions about that process. Otherwise, you can't expect to save bad positions when it matters most. So, you know, I think I've also said, like, hey, in long tournaments, sometimes it is okay to save your energy, and I've thought about it is a marathon, not a sprint. But the more I think about it, and the more I've seen people save games that are lost in this era we live in online, the more I'm definitely a big fan of playing every game out much further. So for anyone watching online, and we got 191 people here tuning in, that's definitely
And a
something
funny story that connects us, we actually had the same coach for a bit growing up. He was my coach for longer.
Will.
Yeah, Will.
Shout out to Will.
My coach for about 10 years, Will Wharton. And my senior year of high school, I was kind of his star student, and I was looking for a compliment. And I said, hey, Will, what's the best part of my game? And I'm going to see if I can give you his demeanor, because you know him. And, he thinks for 10 seconds, as any intellectual will, And he looks at me and he's like, Mike, you're getting a lot of really rotten positions. You always find a way out of them. So yeah, I thought he was going to say something about my endgame acumen, but it was actually true. It was absolutely true, and unfortunately, you do cap out at the 2400 level when you get rotten positions.
It's true though. It's good. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to be able to play bad positions. And I love that you're doing this series on playing how to play lost positions, how to play worse positions.
Okay, now I'm going to take a little time out. I'm going to jump
Yeah.
into the chat here, because when I do commentary with Grandmaster Malik Kashian, and when we see a checkmate, we not only have to show it on the board, but we have to say Matanovich. Okay,
Matanovich.
and Matanovich has gone into that great afterlife of chess. But in this position, if we see Black playing D3 in this position, and White moves the king, and Black doesn't realize what's going on, and Black goes after a pawn, then we get to say Matanovich. And even though it's unlikely, it's kind of a tradition on ChessKid.
Yeah.
So we will see if this happens. Unlikely, though, because White's king probably should not be on F5 with Black's pawn able to move to D2. But anyway, Matanovich.
No, it's a good net to keep in mind. Any of the fans who follow the Champions Chess Tour, our top event on chess.com, might remember a game from last year where Fabiano Caruana himself blundered into a checkmate very similar to that. Not exactly with a king with the potential of a discovered check, but still, it's a mating net you got to be aware of. Just because there's not a lot of pieces on the board doesn't mean there's not a chance to get checkmated, and that's probably the most important lesson of that.
And cue something from our Serbian producer in the chat, because the Matanovich, he loves it. You got to keep our producer happy. He's staying up late on the weekend.
Shout out to Alex.
Yeah,
staying up late. We love you. All right. Well, White's trying to hold on to this pawn. We'll see what happens here. Obviously, Black would like to check and find a way to break through. But what's funny is, because we have opposite colored bishop position, meaning two bishops who are just strangers in the night, they will never actually find each other. It's without a blunder, there's no real way for this pawn to go forward as long as White is controlling that square, because that light square bishop has no ability to help. So we're going to kind of leave this one. We'll see what happens. I want to go back to one that was...
Okay.
We had a really exciting position on one game that I thought had some instructive stuff.
For those of you just joining us, this is the ChessKid National Festival Round 2. We are a 6-round tournament. It's the very first time ChessKid is doing an event in real life. We have so many fun side events. If any of you are in the Charlotte area with kids, you can still come down and register, and be a part of the fun events and just join up in round 3 Sunday morning. But Gotham is here, obviously. Papa Bear is here. I'll call you by your nom to ChessKid.
Do it.
We've also got Kanti, Jen Shahadi, Danya Naroditsky, and I am with you, FunMasterMike.
I don't know that people realize too how many fun things are going on, right? We obviously have a chess tournament, and we are covering the chess on the board, as you do when you're doing a chess stream. But we've had simuls with 150 kids. We have face painting going on. Gotham is getting sprayed in the face with squirt guns while he plays a simul, which I don't think has ever been done before. That's actually
it has not
a brand new thing. You took a pie in the face last night.
I did, in front of 500 kids.
Yeah, it looked lovely.
Now, if I get up from this chair, I'll be roped into hula hoop chess. So
Oh, that's right. I was supposed to go see Jen.
I'm
Darn it.
fastening
I
my-
said I would. How long is that?
I don't know. I think it might have ended.
Ah.
But you know what? We're keeping the hula hoops all weekend. We can
Okay.
always pick them back up
We'll
and
pick
do
them
our
back
thing
up.
again.
Okay.
Yeah. We even have a popcorn machine, and apologies to the fine sanitation workers at the Charlotte Convention Center for that. But yeah, but we basically, if you'll remember the Champions Chess Tour Finals in Toronto, there
Yeah.
was like a fan zone.
Yeah.
This is like a 4-day fan zone where the kids can also play in a tournament. That's my best way of describing it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm fascinated by this position. It's a fun one because material is completely equal if we're doing the math, but white is winning if they can find the right way to break through. But it's a very close position, and it's one of those where I wonder if white will see just how many cards they really have in the hole here, or how that they're playing with house money. Because in such a close position, you can often afford to really go all in on one side. You're not really worried about counterplay here because white controls this side of the board. The king won't be in danger. So you're looking at this one sort of piece that's like the catalyst to holding everything together for black, or the catalyst for white breaking open. I'm just going to show a fun line. I don't even know if it works, but okay, that shows you that this is a tough thing for white to figure out how to do it. But taking here, and even taking here in some position where white eventually is going to get g6. Maybe we should actually take first. So perhaps something like this. Note that black can't take back because it's checkmate. You have to take this way to guard the pawn.
Yeah.
And now we take everything. Now we take everything, and we just throw it all here at the house. But this is tough. I mean, I don't even know what section we're in here, but this is tough for anybody to go for, let alone where are we at? We're in I think we're in the K5 or even lower section, lower age group.
Oh, you just had it, the K3 championship.
K3. This is the K3 board 1.
Yeah.
This is super tough. We've got third graders playing this position.
I could be wrong. Mustafa Mohammed, I believe, is from the Raleigh area.
Okay.
And I think did very well in a recent either the grade championship or like the North American youth. But I think this is that's the favorite player, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Well, Mustafa's the favorite, but it shows you why, chess is hard, because you're staring at this and it's a real risk to sacrifice a piece, but a good lesson long term that if you make the play all about one side of the board, what'll happen is in a closed position, the pieces on the other side are basically useless. So sometimes when the position is that closed, you can literally split your brain like the board is split in half and say, yes, I'm down material, but I'm actually up material on the side of the board that matters. And again, this would have been the idea, to just open up everything with g6. Again, black can't take because of I assume we'll have checkmate soon. And if you don't, this rook will come over, and white essentially has all the pieces that matter, and the other pieces basically aren't playing. So anyway, that's a really, really hard thing to see, but a fun one there. Mustafa didn't see it. Mustafa played. If we go back to the game,
It should also be noted that white can play bishop takes a6 and maybe win a pawn, but I would never get distracted over there.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're allowing queen a8, and it's a pawn, but you're dominating so much on the king side. You could actually get distracted if you're not careful.
Totally agree. That's a good lesson. Material is less important than your ability to improve the position, which is kind of a weird thing to say because material is very important. But if you think about it, extra material means you can improve as well. But overall, the ranking system should be, can I continue to improve my position before we think about small amounts of material? And queen g2. This is going to be tough for these third graders. I think this takes some experience to realize that white might have to sacrifice in order to do the job here, and that's a tough thing to do when you're the top seed. You get nervous about that.
Closed positions are harder to teach than open positions. They just are. There's a little bit more subtlety to them.
Yep. Agreed, Town. Population us. Where are we going next? Let's do it.
Been through that game a little bit.
We've done that game a few times. Again, if
that
anyone
position.
at home is watching and you want to hop in chat, you can yell at us if you think there's a game going on that we're missing. There's about 10 boards here that we have, all the top boards from the room, the ChessKid National Festival room, and
you know what's happening after this round? Another first, at least first classic tournament. We have a live band playing. It is Benjamin Blunderpond. I'm getting the band name wrong, but they just released their first album.
Yeah.
All the songs are chess themed. Okay, so I'm looking at you, Arcade Fire. I know you did Deep Blue on the Suburbs, which was nice of you.
Yeah.
But that's one line from one track.
Yeah.
This is an entire album dedicated to chess, and they're going to be doing, I think, one of their first gigs ever. Going to play half a set before the National Blitz, the ChessKid Blitz Championship, and then another 25-minute set afterwards. So
It's wild.
They're not going to play during the Blitz, though.
What's
So,
up, dude? You
Yeah.
just looking to say hey? Spectators are allowed.
Yeah, do you want to come show your face painting to the whole world? All right, come on.
Do it.
You've signed your video waiver, so you're okay. Come between us here. Just to show you our face painter. What's your name, buddy? Okay, Ritvic, can you bend down and show the right side of your face?
Look at the king.
The other right side.
I recognize
This is
that
the
king.
camera.
It's
This
like
is the
a
camera.
it's like a weatherman.
Yeah.
See, their job
Bend
is
down.
harder than you think.
Bend down.
You know.
Bend down. Now come closer. You walk sideways. All right, you got to get that in the camera though.
There you go. You look
Get
at Mike.
close to the camera with the right side of your
There
face.
you go. Nice.
Yeah, there
king
we
with
go.
the mustache. You
All right, is that
recognize
a king or a
king.
queen? I can't see.
That's a king.
All right, Ritvic, you just made your worldwide premiere. We'll get you your SAG
Did you
after
win your
papers
game?
real soon, okay, bud?
Everyone join the ChessKid National Festival.
Okay.
ChessKid is the best.
All right.
Wow.
He's
Lead
working
chess
on
stocks.
he's working on commission.
We don't have to say ad.
Yeah.
We didn't pay him to say that.
Watch
You know,
this.
no promo.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that was a little unfiltered, but
yeah, unfiltered content.
that was
We love
that
it.
was the limit of what we allow on ChessKid. But anyway, back to chess. He wasn't supposed to have any speaking lines. That was unscripted. But
That was unscripted. He
Yeah.
was not trained for that.
Okay.
But he gave us a good shout out.
Yeah.
Look at that. We got some content from the playing hall. Kids playing on the top boards.
Yeah, that might be either live or close to live. We got a kid who prefers the standing up position.
Yeah.
Were you a stander?
No. But I think like anyone, there were times I was guilty. You come back and you come back to the board. You kind of do the one knee sit, the one knee shuffle.
I have to slide back into
You
the game.
slide
That's
back
true.
in a
Yeah.
little bit, and so you're sometimes a little more poised.
Okay, so White's got control of the center, but you could argue Black has fewer pawn islands. Well, you couldn't just argue it. It is the case. So
Yeah.
Black has the bishop pair. White's king may not get out of the middle if you don't figure something out, because your D pawn's hanging. And if you take time out to save the D pawn, well, you need to be a little careful because any pawn advance starts to open the position.
Yeah.
Feels like
It's
Black
funny.
is better.
I totally agree with you, and it's so dangerous to have a king in the center when the position could open up, and when your opponent has pieces that are perfect for open positions, which is queens and a couple of bishops, to the point where I would even consider sacrificing the pawn and just castling, despite what the computer would say, just to get the king out of the center and maybe put my rook on the same file. Probably the best move is to try to defend the pawn by moving the knight somewhere. By moving the knight, we defend with the queen. But if we're looking for something to take home about this position, you have to, one of the next step things to do in chess is not just where are the pieces needed right now, but where do I want my pieces to be in 5 moves if I could accomplish everything. So if you play an awkward move like putting a knight on f1, you accomplish this, but maybe you don't actually know where to go. Although that might not be a bad move because we could bring the knight to some good squares. So where are the pieces needed now? Where do they need to be in the next 5 moves? And White has to deal with this pawn and then get the king safe. But I'm liking Black's chances here.
Yeah, you give me the bishops, you give me those weaknesses, and at some point.
Ooh.
By the way, we just filmed the next edition of Chili Chess with the Botes
Oh, yeah?
sisters, and we actually had hot sauces that were ranked, and we decided that a bishop was worth more than a knight for the hot sauce competition.
That actually makes sense.
You had to get a spicier sauce. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
We did that in Toronto. It was a ton of fun with Canty and Levy. Who did you play, Alexandra? Or?
Well, actually, the Botes sisters played each other.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we convinced Andrea to
go for the
she
hot.
She wasn't a big fan of it, but
Yeah.
we did it. And then the winner got to make the losing sister eat the scorpion pepper sauce, which WIM Yvette Garcia brought all the way from Chihuahua.
Okay.
I
I want zero part of that.
No, she got it through
I want-
customs, and she shouldn't have because
Yeah,
it's a weapon.
Yeah, I don't want any of that.
But the worldwide premiere of Sour Chess is happening later today.
Okay.
Where I will go against a kid, and we will have to eat sour foods after capturing pieces.
Okay.
We have bought the entire Amazon store of sour products. So the conversation begins at warheads
You got
and
warheads.
ends at umabashi.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know what umabashi is.
Neither
It
do I.
Scares me.
But Sam Copeland is going to hurt us with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
love it.
Pucker up, buddy.
All right, well, white is still thinking here. That's chess. You got to take your time in big positions.
Okay.
We're gonna bounce over to let's see, back to board 1 in the K8. Andrew Wu is continuing to push. He is the top seed, but I'm actually surprised this one is still going. I mean, although the more I look at it, it's just getting tougher and tougher. This is what happens when you play a move where an old lady swallows the fly all the way back with bishop to d3. As we said, don't put your pieces in front of your pawns. It creates all kinds of problems, and that'll be lesson learned for Linga here. All right, another game that we haven't totally checked on yet. What do we got? This one looks funny. What's going on here? We got Arjun Malik versus Vihan. Where's Vihan's last name? Vihan Purohit.
This almost looks like a retrograde puzzle. How did the bishop get to f7? You just don't see bishops on those squares very often. But sometimes these positions can be hard to break through, but with e6 being so weak, and let's see, it's black's turn, but if black trades, then the queen takes the place of the bishop, and e6 is still weak. And if you do nothing, I'm just going to put something on e6, or I'm going to play queen b3 and make you take my bishop, something like that. Or I trade and play queen b3.
Or you just take, right? Make the king lose its right to castle and give it check. So this is a tricky position for black.
I almost wonder if, like, the computer wants black to play e6 and fill in the hole. And then if you start taking on e6, then queen e7, and black not only puts up the defensive dukes, but counterattacks on the e file. But I think you need something drastic here for black. Otherwise, you're going to have positional massive weakness on e6.
Yeah. Agreed. You have to be very careful. I think it's almost guaranteed at this point that the black king is going to lose his right to castle. That's what happens when you weaken the weakest squares on the board, which are the light squares next to the king if you're black. Doesn't matter whether you replace the pawn with a bishop, apparently. The king is still very weak. So, I mean, if we look at a move like queen d7, a trade, and check, what's funny is here black can actually play e6. So if I was black, I would prefer the move queen to d7. Because at the very least with queen d7, I may lose my right to castle, but I have two pieces guarding this ever-important square you've been talking about. And I can complete development here. Because it's funny, we're focused on black's problems, but if we talk about a position with not everybody playing, just like in the other game, kind of similar. So white also doesn't have all the pieces in the game yet, and it's going to take some time. So this is close to 50-50 for a reason. A much closer game than we currently have on board in the section.
And interestingly, if black tries your idea of queen d7, sometimes the move order matters. I wonder if white should not trade bishops, because black actually is almost assisted by playing king takes to cover the e6 square. Maybe after queen d7, white just plays queen b3 first. Because if white can get black to trade bishops, then I don't see a way for black to effectively cover the e6 square. And of course, if queen b3, if black takes your knight, your white's probably very happy to play bishop takes bishop check at that position. So I don't know. The thing is, again, I think the eval bar is wrong. Not that white is not better, but it's just so much easier for white to play. Black has to make a lot of perfect moves to only be a little bit worse. So again, sometimes kids out there, the eval bar says equal, you can be like, well, FunMasterMike, see, I can play this. Yeah, but you're walking a tightrope. I mean, technically you can string a wire between two buildings at 10 floors off the ground, and technically you might make it, right? But it's not something your parents want you to do.
Not a high probability situation you're putting yourself in. All right. Well, we're having fun here. I wonder, so no more hula hoop chess. Maybe we should get hula hoop chess on the show tomorrow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We've got a wild one here. Timothy versus Nishita.
Okay, now this is where it's incredibly important to know whose move it is. Because if white gets to move, all of the rooks jump into the position. And if black can move, well, black did move.
Black takes the pawn, and then you know why black is totally winning.
Yeah, black's up a piece, and even if you double attack the pawn, I think black can just guard it with a bishop and maybe even let white take because bishop d5 issues. So
yeah, this bishop's coming here. The king is wide open. The emperor has lost his clothes. and there's nothing to do about it. The bishop comes in, diagonal problems. The queen can even come in if we want to go sneak behind this h pawn.
Yeah.
So serious problems. Not sure where it went wrong here for white, but looks like a piece was lost earlier. Just going to take a quick look right here. Okay, there you go. Love our board glyphs. Tells you exactly where the biggest blunder was. Bishop to e3. If the bishop had gone all the way back to d2, what's funny is this game still has a lot of chess left in it. And both sides have kind of weakened their king a little bit. But instead, you got to make a move anticipating what your opponent's next move is. And white did not do that.
Now, speaking of all the fun happening that we haven't put on camera yet, but maybe tomorrow we'll try.
Yeah.
Our face painter, the same person, is multi-talented, and is switched to becoming our balloon artiste.
Okay,
So
nice.
I'm going to order you a balloon.
Oh, I love it.
What shape would you like?
Everyone always goes with a giraffe, but that's I mean, that's simple. So how about I would like a chess knight?
Okay.
Let's
We
see.
did ask this person if they could do chess pieces.
Okay. Give me a queen or a chess knight.
Okay.
That'd be pretty sweet.
I gotcha.
I mean, you're asking me to be a little kid. We all have our little kid inside. That's what I want.
I put I'm fat fingering a couple of words here. But yeah, okay. I just look at that. Faster than Amazon. We're gonna get you. Actually, can Amazon even do balloons, animals?
That's their next. I hear that's next. That's stage 17 for them.
Yeah.
There's live balloon animals delivered.
That is why the helium reserves in Texas are being depleted.
There you
Amazon
go.
found out
They're
where they
buying 'em
were,
up.
right? Okay.
This is a close game. We've got, who do we have? We got Benjamin Imrani versus Eshwar Kothapalli.
Okay. And the big material's equal. Let's count the pawns. That looks like white has an extra pawn, but
Yeah, but
black's
black is
pieces are a little
corralling.
more organized here.
Black is corralling it. It's interesting. I think the biggest problem for black here is actually that the king is wide open and these pawns can't go backwards, increasing the chances that something goes wrong here for sure. If I'm white, I'm looking at moves like knight f5 to try to bring a piece in. In fact, looks like a pretty darn good move. This move would attack h6,
Yeah.
attack e7, guarded by the queen, but also attack d6, which would be a fork and a big problem.
If we say knife 5, do we owe Grandmaster Feingold some money?
Knight 5?
I think he calls it knife 5.
Oh my
Where the
gosh.
Knight goes to f5.
Oh my gosh, knight f5 is a huge blunder. I'm going to give everyone a chance to see it in chat.
Sorry, Feingold. Nothing for you.
Queen to c4 was a double attack. I knew that the queen was attacking the pawn.
Matanovich.
Matanovich, but we're going to let people find it.
Mm.
Aha, there we go.
You got it.
Monkey Knight 004 has found it. That's amazing. So I was focused on the instructive aspects of the black king being open and what the knight can do. But yeah, I made the mistake that our last kid did. I didn't look at my opponent's threat. Queen to c4 threatens the a2 pawn, but it also threatens. Let's play knight f5 and let the computer show it to us.
Okay.
Knight f5, boom. Matanovich.
Yep.
Queen takes f1 check. Bishop to c4 check. Boom goes the dynamite. In fact, did you know that you can do this?
I don't think I knew that.
A lot of people don't use these emotes, and they should.
That's a good one.
Boom goes the dynamite, and then after the king is going to explode, but
Yeah.
instead we've got the king moving to g1, and then we have checkmate. The king is dead on the back rank, just like that. So that's actually awesome.
Okay, now speaking for all kids everywhere, we're actually showing this game on the chess.com live server.
Yes.
So can I have it?
Yes,
Can I
yes, you
have it
can. Yes,
on
you can have
ChessKid?
it. We
Can I
got to
have
do it.
Can
And
I have it on ChessKid?
honestly, we need to get our commentators and streamers using this more because we put all this fun tech into it, and not enough people are using the fun emotes. I'm going to stay on this game because here's the deal. I don't know that what I mean. This is a blunderable tactic.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely,
I didn't spot it right away. Black is threatening a forced checkmate in 3 moves.
Yeah.
And
tricks are for kids. so-
tricks are for kids. This is a big moment.
Now, would you move the rook away, or would you play like an h? You don't really want to play h3 and have those pawns trade, but
That's my point. This is actually, look, there are so many moves you can make as a blunder here for white. I already blundered one myself. Queen to d6 is a blunder. You think this is a brilliant move.
Mhm.
You're attacking the king. That would also fail to checkmate.
You know, f3 makes more sense because you want to open the f file, and if the pawn takes, you can take back with a knight, not a pawn, and keep your pawns together.
That's true, but it hangs the pawn with check.
But that pawn, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I know you love all your kids.
We gotta
but
love
I
all
don't-
your
I-
all the. So what's funny is I think there's actually a dual, just like this is a dual purpose double attack.
Yeah.
There's actually a dual purpose double defense here, which is b3
guarding c4.
to guard a2, and when you guard this square, there's no more check, everybody, because we lose. So that would actually mean that something like this, and now I think we can get fun again with a move like this, right? Hitting the queen, hitting the knight, hitting the pawn, hitting some checks. So I think if white, which is Benjamin Amani, if Benjamin's got his A game this afternoon here, a Saturday in Charlotte, where everyone wants their A game. Downtown Charlotte, by the way, I've enjoyed it. Been pretty nice.
We call it uptown, but you're forgiven.
Uptown?
Yeah,
So it's uptown, down. What's the difference? I mean,
it's just one of the weird
why
things.
do they call downtowns, uptowns? Like, what is the?
Charlotte is at 700 feet of altitude.
Oh, it's
and-
altitude.
And
You know,
it's a
south,
very
north.
gentle slope up to Trade
Okay.
and Tryon streets.
Okay, got it.
But I imagine we're not the only major metropolis that has a
You say-
slight elevation change.
I realize you say downtown because you like downtown is like where the assumption is that
Yeah.
the major city, biggest buildings are, but you realize like, yeah,
But we are the Queen City, so we were made for chess. Named
That's true.
after Queen Charlotte, who was? I gave this
she
to you
was
last night.
the
Hit it. Come on, there'll be a test
she
later.
was the German wife of King George, the king
Third.
that
King
was
George III, yeah.
George III that was defeated in the American Revolution.
You nailed this test.
And but she was, what's the word? Is a
Consort wife. I
consort
think,
wife.
Yeah, because the English king took a German queen.
Which is
Asked to marry. I think
asked to
back then it might
marry.
have been-
It's a
it
long
might have been
story.
take back
Long
then.
story, and the patriarchy is a problem. We'll
It
deal
is-
with that
yeah,
later, kids.
Huge problem.
But yes, Charlotte.
Yeah, Queen City. Sorry,
Yeah.
Cincinnati, but we are the real Queen City.
Yep.
Okay.
By the way, so your move f3 was played.
Well, moving her F pawn, and you know what? Had my permission.
Had your permission.
Not written permission, but these kids can't hear me before anybody cries foul. Okay.
But it was a very good move. You're right. I mean, I think b3 might have been best, but this is a great move to show that some mature calculation. You can give a pawn with check and meet that move with a tempo.
Yeah.
Where you both block the check and gain an attacking move at the same time.
And by the way, this is probably my #1 most violated rule. We put the bishop back on g3 and the queen back.
Uh-huh.
White played f3, which is an attack. Do not answer an attack with an attack.
Right.
That's like answering your teacher's question with a
Good
question. It
You
will
normally
not
get
go
in
well.
trouble for that.
Yeah. Did you do your homework? Why do you want to know? See?
Yeah.
Don't answer a question with a
Doesn't
question.
go well.
Always bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. No, I agree. I think there are very special circumstances of real maturity and deep calculation where you can do it, but overall, FunMasterMike's rules exist for a reason.
Right. We don't show
And
maturity.
the
on this
exception
show.
proves the rule. I agree.
Yeah.
So answering an attack with an attack, in this case, we'll lose black actually the rook. Just big town problems. So instead, if you take, as you pointed out, the knight can take back and guard. So
Yeah.
as much as I said b3 might be the best move, okay, now a very good move right back though. Look at this high-level chess game. I'm loving this. Black recognizes it and doesn't help the knight out. Instead says, you know what, you pushed a pawn. You will never return to this second rank. So I am now officially spying your g2 pawn. This is a very high-quality game right now between Benjamin and Eshwar. Fun stuff. Fun stuff, for sure.
Yeah, it's more fun to be the aggressor, even though white's up a pawn. I think in kids' chess,
Yeah.
black's got some stuff happening here.
Agreed. Shout out to Monkey Knight 04 for spotting that Queen F1 threat before I did.
JF3DC, board 8, I'm assuming you mean just whatever's numbered 8. It might not be board 8 in real life, but we'll jump down there. I'm assuming you mean the game between Junius Scarborough. We're going to Scarborough Fair. That too deep for you? I wasn't alive then either.
Scarborough Fair.
Scarborough Fair? Yeah, Simon and Garfunkel. I know, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
again, so we got Junius against Keyshawn, and hopefully this is the game that's being referenced, and it's a close one, so it's worthy of our time anyway.
Yeah.
But I got equal material, which means I've exhausted my chess knowledge.
No, well, you got equal material, and then you've got an unequal king position. That's the one dynamic that gives black probably this small edge. But when there's not a lot of pieces on the board, that's why it's not a big edge, because as open as the king side looks, black kind of lacks the firepower to help the queen currently. And, getting crazy with moves like Well, it turns out it's actually white to move. But even if it was black to move, probably this doesn't work because of white's counterplay to give some checks. So that's our quick highlight reel of what's going on in the position. From a stakes position, you guys can come on in. Come on in. If you don't have a phone, you won't be able to follow the position, but you can be here for funsies. I like the face paint. ChessKid logo. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. An interesting position. Black to play. If you are playing black and you're looking to win, the number one problem you're trying to solve is your king's position, because the counterplay white's going to get against the black king stops you from doing anything you'd like to do against this white king. So how do you solve for that problem? I legitimately, oh my gosh, ask and you shall receive. I might move the pawn in front of the king to try to help, but we've got some.
All right, what do we got here?
What do we got? We got some.
Please
some chess
you
pieces.
can just tell us what this is. I know you're not mic'd up, but what is it?
That's the knight.
That's the knight.
I'm gonna describe it. Look at this. Look at this. You got a knight. There's the
now
lips
I see.
and the
What
face.
The queen. Okay, I see the queen because it got the crazy crown going on.
It's actually impressive with the hair here. This is like.
Let me see if we can get this all.
They didn't just do a knight. They did like the Staunton
Bishop?
piece.
Oh, okay. But the king's supposed to be taller than the queen. This is not Staunton.
I'm gonna go to a board with a knight on it. Thank you, Christine. I'm going to a board with a knight on it so we can see that we really do have a knight that kind of matches that knight there.
We have content creators here. We have chess pieces.
We have chess pieces.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Are we doing a live reenacting of a conversation?
When you capture a piece,
Yeah.
you get to smash it.
Oh my gosh! I thought we were gonna do a puppet show.
We can do that too. A little awkward to him. But okay, so yeah, balloons are happening, and the king should be taller than the queen. But we're going to talk to our balloon
I
artist
want to
about
see
that.
this one. So we got the king full cross.
Yeah.
You know, you shall not pass kind of thing.
And crazy queen crown.
And then crazy queen.
Yeah, that could be our new city
It's like,
logo right
this
there.
both looks like I'm gonna bring it up. We got the king and the queen.
Yeah.
And the knight.
This is actually his new CrossFit.
Yep.
You can curl that. By the way.
All right, we're gonna keep our balloon animals. Not animal, balloon chess pieces right here. Although the horse is both an animal and a chess piece. Complicated.
All right, thanks for that. That was awesome.
All right. Where did we go? I went back to the top board to show that our balloon animal matched the knight, just to applaud our.
Well, the pawn at least got to
balloon
D3,
artist.
but the black pawns are gonna. Black's actually about to get a snowplow because white's probably gonna trade.
Yeah.
And then, well, if white does trade, now it's a double attack on the queen, and the pawns keep.
Yeah,
marching.
you can't stop them.
Yeah.
Can't stop, won't stop.
And anytime pawns are side by side moving down the board, I'm reminded of Kramnik's Fiddler Dortmund 99. Try to stay with me. Try to stay with me. Try to stay with me.
I knew that's where you were going.
No, it's from a John Nunn book. It's like a model game. The pawns end up on the 7th rank.
Together.
Yeah, so but you don't need to know about that. You can just look at our screen here and know that black's pawns are doing really well.
Yeah, this is tough. Tough for white. Not Anthony. Andrew has been in control of this one pretty much from the start.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be a fun one to keep our eye on. I think this is going to be a close one down the stretch, so we'll come back to it.
All three results possible for sure.
Yeah, we just spent a lot of time on it. This one?
White has done a good job closing the position in this two knights versus two bishops game.
This is very different than where we left this one, right? I mean, if you're just tuning in, we were talking just a little bit ago about how dangerous the position was for white to have two pawns in the center, kind of overextended. The king's still not safe, but white defended the pawn, so kudos. And in hindsight, I guess from a practical perspective, this was clearly the best option to open up this idea of getting castled on the queen side. And that's exactly what white did. And if I'm looking for a black missed opportunity, really it comes down to this. And so this is a really good lesson for everybody real quick. We'll highlight reel this position before we find another one. If you have two bishops versus two knights, the last thing you want is to close the position. And keeping the tension, as much as it sounds like, well, what's the difference between this versus what we have? Very different, but as long as these pawns are controlling these squares, the position will remain open. White can't push anything without a big trade happening. So that keeps these diagonals potentially open, and it means that the bishops still have the better, I guess, the better hand, if you will. So what would you do here if you were black instead? Trying to open the position a different way. Even going for like h5 is an idea, like you slide the queen and you go for h5. You could even consider moving passively back and relocating. Anything that keeps the position open is what you want with the bishops, not something that closes it up. And now this is anybody's game here.
Fascinating. Yeah, it's again, the eval bar says that black is better, but this is a lot easier to play than the dynamicism of your king being in the middle and the pawns being uncertain in the center. That's pretty cool. By the way, we should mention this is an international competition. I knew about some friends from Canada. I knew about some friends from Mexico. And today I found out that we have a very strong chess kid here named Ty from Trinidad and Tobago.
That's right. Ty was in our puzzle challenge.
Right.
He was one of the top puzzle solvers, and he barely, I think he went out a round before me and Jen, maybe two.
Yeah.
So Ty was a really talented puzzle solver.
So shout out to all of our Trini friends. That's the demonym for someone from Trinidad and Tobago.
Really?
Trini.
I
learned that last week.
That's a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Don't call them the Lesser Antilles. They're pretty good.
Mike is the world traveler, so you would know more than any of us.
I've not been there though.
Yeah?
No, I haven't been to Trinidad and Tobago.
How you guys doing? Got some kids in the crowd. How'd you do in your game? You
Nice.
won? How about you? You lost. That's okay. Okay, that's great. Great
You
stuff.
still look happy, and that's what I told you was my goal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's been your favorite part of the festival so far, besides the main tournament? Like meeting Levy.
Meeting
okay,
Levy.
All right.
Meet-
Okay,
That's
cool.
awesome.
And yourself? Meeting me. All right. Well,
Yeah.
there's somebody who's after my autograph right there. So. Yeah, actually, you know what? Jennifer Shoddy brought up a good point to me. The survival simul, as you saw, the goal for the kids wasn't just to beat us, but was to survive until the end of the simul. And Jen's point is that usually when a master gives a simul, the master might lose one game or draw one game, which is a pretty poor, shall we say, happiness rate for kids.
Yeah.
But in the survival simul, 30-40% of the kids might survive, right? So if we were going back in time and inventing what simuls were, why not have it be a little bit more of a reasonable chance? For
Run up against a reasonable clock, too. From a simul giver's perspective, it's also appreciated because you're not there for hours. Although I was frustrated because there were a lot of games we were close to winning, and the chess player in me I was screaming for overtime.
Yeah.
I wanted more time to win some of those
I
games.
argued that too. I told Peter Giannotto, I said, we didn't start until 7:04. You got to give me 4 minutes on the back end.
There should have been some stoppage time. That's
Yeah.
why they have it in Premier in football for those who the global football, not American football.
Yeah.
You have stoppage time for a reason. All right, well, this is a fun one. It's going to be closed. Interesting imbalance. I want to go back to that game that really had my attention. Anyone's game here. Black has some open play against the white king. Likewise, black's king is completely open. White has this extra pawn, which is the only material difference, but it almost doesn't matter here. So many pawns on the agenda for black that I think material could quickly turn around. So Mike made a point earlier that there was a position that was close to equal, but was much easier for white to play. This is one of those positions that could be the opposite, where it's equal, but black has some obvious moves here. This is going to be very, very dangerous for both sides. It's a lot of fun. And if you look at the time, that kind of reflects maybe how the players are feeling. White, despite being better, they don't have an eval bar in front of them and an engine saying, no, you're a little better. White might even feel like they're losing in this game because it's very, very scary. Now they just take this pawn, which is so risky. But it also makes sense to open up the f-file.
Yeah, helps get the knight to f5, where it at least doesn't lose anymore like it did the first time we looked at knight f5. I believe Kasparov said getting a knight to f5 was worth a pawn. Or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, a fun one to go back, just because we always want to talk about en passant. f5 has been played by black. White can en passant if they choose to. But f5 was actually a really good move. Because whether you en passant or not, the position is going to open up again. You can en passant, and the queen will take, and at some point now the position will be open. If you don't en passant, this position will just continue to be open. So a very good move by black in terms of a heads up, recognizing what pieces do you have. You have the bishops, and they have the knights. So let's open up the position, and that's instructive for everybody to see. What'd you say? What'd you call these pawns? The snowplow?
Yeah, the snowplow. And I realize you now are in a place that has snow, so you can actually recognize my reference. But a snowplow pushes everything out of the way.
Yeah.
So 2 pawns side by side in the center. We call it the snowplow. We've got a lot of animations to support that. And they tend to push stuff out of the way. Knights, bishops, everything has to move out of the way because there's some street cleaning in the center of the chessboard.
This is such a tough game for White. White has basically been down a rook and a bishop the entire battle. They haven't developed, and even now, they don't have the time to get developed when the queen is under attack, and probably Black will just keep pushing the snowplow, as you said. So there's even other problems. I mean, I want to show some, what do you call it?
Matanovich?
Matanovich?
Yeah, I remember he was the world's oldest grandmaster.
Matanovich, the
yeah.
queen. If the queen moves somewhere, we're trying to get out. Black has all kinds of fun Matanovich ideas like this. The lack of development for White is going to haunt more than just the queen side, but also the king's safety at this point. So,
yeah, and
difficult stuff.
You're doing great here. I am going to go check out a few of the other things at the festival.
I think we'll take a quick break.
Yeah, take a quick break. When you come back, you can either run solo or you can
grab a kid
and have a kid join the commentary with you. Something
I'd love that.
There is no shortage of hands that just went up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be right back then, everybody.
Yeah, with someone's worldwide chess premiere.
Yeah.
We don't know who just yet, but don't go anywhere. ChessKid National Festival Round 2 with Papa Bear and Mini Papa Cub.
Papa Cub.
Papa Cub.
Officially, I've just adopted you.
It's
we're family.
We'll be back in just a minute.
And we are back here at the first ever ChessKid National Festival. Danny Rensch here, still with you. Mike, FunMasterMike had some stuff to do. And so we've got a guest commentator sitting in. And tell us, what's your name?
It's
Wyatt.
Good.
And you're playing in the tournament.
I am.
Okay, how you doing so far?
Okay. I lost one and drew one.
Lost one and drew one. Okay, but the tournament's young, right?
Yeah.
You've got plenty of time. What section are you in?
K through 5th, U 1200.
K through 5th, U 1200. Awesome. So how long have you been playing chess, Wyatt?
Well, I think I learned when I was like 7 or 8, but
Okay.
I didn't start getting into it until I was like about to turn 10.
Okay, and how old are you now?
11.
Okay, so you've got a lot of time left, right?
Yeah.
I didn't start playing chess till I was 10 either, so you're already better than I was. So zero stress on that. All right, Wyatt. Now the biggest news is obviously you're sitting here and you're going to help me commentate a little bit. We've got some
Okay.
other kids in the room who might want to tag in at some point, but I understand you've got a YouTube channel.
I do.
So you're already getting ahead of the game. You're a chess content creator, right? And what is your YouTube channel? Give yourself a
So-
shameless plug.
So it's called Flood Zone Chess.
Flood Zone Chess.
Flood Zone Chess. It's pretty small. I mostly only do 2-move puzzles, like just mate in 2 puzzles. I'm also probably gonna make a video on the ChessKid Festival.
Okay,
That's it.
that's awesome. Well,
Yes.
so you're just getting started, and then who knows where you'll go from there, right?
Yeah.
Document your whole journey, trying to get better as a chess player. I mean, I'd watch that. Sounds like good content to me. All right, go to Flood Zone,
Flood Zone.
like Zone.
Yes.
Okay, so go to
Flood.
Flood Zone Chess at YouTube and give this guy a sub. Do it. Do it. All right. Well, we're gonna dive into this game. When FunMasterMike was here, we were talking about the snowplow, these 2 pawns, and of course White has a lot to worry about, even more than those pawns. You could say that White is also worried about this check
Yes.
coming in here. What do you see in this position?
Well, I see that check.
Uh-huh.
I see those 2 pawns are very strong, and also White's A and B pawn could somehow maybe trade off
On
and
this
then
side?
get a passed pawn there.
Okay.
Yes.
It's good to point out White's counterplay, right? Unfortunately for White, that's kind of a slow plan, right?
It is.
And there's a lot bigger problems going on over here. But I will agree with you that there isn't a checkmate yet for Black, so it's always good to keep in mind these long-term plans, right? So good call out there. I like it. Let's go back to this game that had my eye for quite some time, and sure enough, it's continuing to stay weird. Although actually, now that I look at it, kind of seems like White has solved most of their problems. We'll back up a second, but to give you the highlight reel, everyone, the queens were on the board just a minute ago, which meant this king had more to worry about. Now that the queens are gone, all that's really left, you see, is White has this extra D pawn.
Yeah.
Right? So you want to see what happened here? Let's go back to this position here. And you can see the computer also liked Black's position better when the queens were on the board, which means this was really just kind of a misunderstanding of what Black needed to do. What do you think Black needed to do here instead of trading queens?
There?
Yeah. What do you think Black should have done here instead of trading queens?
Probably taken one of
Maybe one of
2
the pawns?
on A or B.
Yeah.
You could take it with the rook, or you could take it with the queen.
Mm-hmm.
They're both
I guess what they
good.
were worried about is White also is going to take a pawn too, huh?
Yeah.
You know what's funny about this position is, despite how awkward it is, this knight on h4 is actually a really key piece defending g2.
Oh yeah.
It's really irritating because if not for that knight, Black actually is doing pretty good, right? So the more I look at it, the more I kind of applaud Benjamin Amani here for kind of bringing it all together. Because even if you take as Black, I think White can probably take, and it's still good for White. I will say this though, regardless of whether that's the case, and the computer says good for White, objectively this is still the way Black should play. I'll take another pawn just to show that at some point the natural thing for White to want to do is going to be aggressive. But if you ever move this knight to do that, there's a checkmate on g2. And if you're the one down material or in a worse position, do you typically want to simplify the position for your opponent, or do you want to keep it complicated? So if you're the one worse in a position,
Keep it calm.
you want to keep it complicated, right?
Yeah.
You ever see like in like action movies where, you know, one person and everyone storms in, right? The SWAT comes in and they're surrounded. What do they do to get out of that situation?
Bad guys?
Yeah.
Uh,
Or a good guy. Let's say they're a good guy. They're a ninja and they're surrounded by bad guys. What do they often do? Well, they fight them, but they also try to confuse the situation, like a smoke
Yes.
bomb or
Oh,
something,
yeah.
right? If they can create chaos, it's a lot easier to deal with the fact that they're in a worse position. And that's a good metaphor to remember, because when you're playing losing positions, the worst thing you can do is trade pieces and simplify the task for your opponent. So it doesn't matter to me what the computer says here. Any move that keeps the queen on the board is objectively the right decision for black. And that's a good lesson, because by trading, now all of a sudden, even if you win back this pawn, white has a free, oops, that's a weird thing. White has a free ride here on the d file. And okay, as we go further, it's funny. This position here isn't that much better if you look at how the computer judges it versus, let's say, you know, this position here, where the computer says white is almost just as winning, but this is so much better for black. The fact that black has pressure here is so much harder to deal with than a position with no queens on the board where we have a really simple task. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if we learn one lesson, it's if you're the one losing, if you're the one outnumbered, confuse the game. Throw a smoke bomb, for lack of a better way to put it, right? To distract your opponent so you can get out of a mess. Okay. Where do you want to go next? You're in charge. You're in the K5 section.
I don't know.
So you're in the K5. So let's go to a K5 section, shall we?
Yes.
So now you're commentating on your own peers' games, like Hikaru Nakamura commentating on top grandmaster games, because he's a top
Well,
grandmaster.
I'm in the K25U.
Okay, but still, K through 5, kids your
Yeah.
age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Age.
All right. What do you see when you look at this position, Wyatt?
I see the queen very active in the middle of the board.
Okay.
Also, the rook is in a very good spot.
The white or black rook?
The white rook
Okay.
behind the pawn.
Uh-huh.
I also see there seems to be, there might be a little attack from black, as if moving the queen down to like h3 could be good. Yes,
Oops.
and then queen h3 and then rook g6 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Black.
Yeah, I agree. I agree the queen is centralized, the rook is ideally placed behind the pawn, but if I had to evaluate who I like here, I actually do like black, because this white king is in some real potential danger here, right? And in fact, I don't even see a concrete plan, but just from a practical point of view, a king that doesn't have shelter, especially as the gloves start to come off and we start to get really, really, you know, we're fighting dirty and time pressure and everyone's getting crazy, check. The queen comes in with check. The king starts to be on the run. The chances that something goes bad for white are actually very high, right? It's hard to play like a computer when your king is under fire and you don't have a lot of time on the clock. So I'm kind of liking black here for those reasons. All right, Wyatt, what would you tell your fans on your YouTube channel right now?
What would I tell them?
Yeah. You know, future state. You've got, you know, we'll call it 4 million YouTube subscribers, no big deal, right? And they're looking for something instructive. What would you tell your YouTube fans right now?
Instructive?
Or funny.
Or funny?
Half of good chess commentary, in fact, more than half of good chess commentary is not about the chess. Okay, what?
Chess joke.
A chess joke. You got a chess joke for me? Tell me.
Uh,
As long as it's appropriate. This is a kid's show, please.
Let me think. Oh yeah. So, what do you call an Australian waiter that's asking for money at a fancy restaurant? No,
First of all, that is a
no,
unique
no, what
situation.
Do you call? What? It's not what do you call. It's what does the Australian waiter say?
What
in
does
that
the
situation?
Australian waiter say at a fancy restaurant? right?
Yeah.
This is a very imaginary scenario. I don't know that I've ever had an Australian waiter at a fancy restaurant. That has nothing to do with Australians, by the way. Just a very unique situation.
That's asking for the money.
Oh.
Asking for the money.
Okay, you tell me. What do you got?
Have the checkmate.
The checkmate. I like that. That's a good accent. And also, good commentary, if I can give you some advice, is about developing accents. Okay? Saying things in different accents is a great way to just annoy your fans, but they don't go anywhere. They'll keep saying that they don't like it, and they do like it. That's the pro tip. Okay? I love that. All right. Telling awkward jokes that people won't forget. You've already got 2 of those things done. All right, Wyatt, I'm going to tag you out for another kid here.
Okay.
Go to youtube.com/FloodZoneChess.
Yes.
FloodZone, you've already got the vanity URL, the URL with FloodZone Chess, or is that the name of the channel? Because, yeah? As you get subscribers, you get your own URL, and then but sometimes they don't let you do that initially. Okay, well, I'm gonna subscribe to your channel.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it. I'll do it right now. Want to see me do it? Do it right now. And then we're gonna tag someone else in. Flood Zone Chess. What do I do here? I gotta search. Flood Zone Chess.
Oh, hey!
Subscribe.
Those are my videos. Yep.
You got 6 subscribers. Guess what? Now you got 7.
Hey!
That's what I'm talking about. Booyah. All right, Wyatt, take a seat. You want to come up, dude? Yeah, let's go. Let's go. You've been patiently waiting. Come on in. We're tagging in kids here. I hope we're not violating Twitch terms of service at this time. Everybody here has permission to be on this stream. And that's what I can say. So, all right, we've got a new ChessKid commentator making his debut. What's your name?
Braden.
Braden, what section are you in?
What do you mean?
Like in the tournament? Are you playing in the tournament?
Yeah.
Oh, you are? Okay, so what section are you in?
I'm in the K through 8 under 1500.
Phenomenal. K through 8 under 1500. Are you having a good time so far?
Yes.
Yeah? How you doing in the tournament?
I have 1 loss and 1 win.
1 loss and 1 win. Are you playing okay?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because my loss was against a 1300 and I'm only 900, so.
Okay. That's great. Remember, notice I asked you if you're playing okay, right? Not just the results, because sometimes you have to focus on the immediate thing you can control, right?
Yeah.
And that ends up getting you the other thing you want to control, which is the result. So, good stuff. All right, well, and you're having a good time here?
Yes, definitely.
What has been your favorite part of the ChessKid Festival at all? Total.
Either the tournament or like meeting all these great chess players like Daniel Naroditsky
Yeah.
and Levy.
Levy.
And
I love it.
Everyone.
You were in the simul last night?
Yes.
Okay, I remember.
was.
I remember you were in the simul last night. All right.
I
And
almost survived.
you survived?
I almost
You
did.
almost
I just had to
survived,
survive
right
20
after-
more minutes.
Oh man, okay, well good work on that. All right. Well, you want to commentate on some of these games?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a YouTube channel yet?
No,
Okay.
I do not.
So maybe that's in your future.
Yes.
Who knows, right? Zero pressure. Zero pressure. All right. I'm going to go back to the K8 section. You said you're in the K8, right? Under
Yes.
1500. Andrew Wu is on board 1 in the K8, but this game has been going a long time.
Oh, is this live? Like, is this?
This is live. This is happening, yeah. They're playing on those top boards. We saw the camera footage earlier. Maybe we'll get
How
some
do
more of that.
How do they see what's going on the boards?
How do they see what's going? You mean right here?
Yeah, like how is it? How
is it relayed?
Yeah.
So we have what's called DGT boards, which is digital game transmission. They're wooden boards, and so they're automatically relaying the move.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a bit magical at times.
That's cool.
Okay, Black just played this move, bishop to G7, and we're going to do this highlight reel style, golf channel style. We're going to go by every board and show the most interesting thing quickly, so we got a cool takeaway and then move on. What is Black trying to do to win? If we see you've got this pass pawn, the ball that wants to go in the hole, what is Black trying to do with this move, Braden?
I'd say they're trying to get their bishop to H6 so that they can try to trade off the bishops.
Booyah. In fact, Black should have been trying to do that, and for some reason Black has been obsessed with the idea of checking, even though bishop to H6, from what we can see from Braden, would pretty much end the game on the spot, forcing the bishop to be traded, and then you can start advancing your pawn. But Andrew doesn't like that. He played the move bishop to D4 check. And you know what? He's going to go for this idea next. I know we're getting a little bit deeper than quick highlights, but I want to show why, actually, because this is funny. The reason he didn't like this, to show it, is that the king can come up, and you can't push because the king will get here just in time. So Andrew was actually one step ahead of me here, and what he realized is that by keeping the king out and getting the bishop to a different square, now I'm just going to make moves. Now when he goes for this whole idea, he trades, and look what happens. In the end of the line, you can actually push this pawn and you win. So Andrew Wu, a very strong player in the board 1 of the K8, he sees this idea, and look at, he just completed what I said. He put the bishop here. 20 bucks says next he brings the bishop back and offers a trade, and then black wins. That's what he's going to do. So very, very smart move there, and we just learned something.
Yeah, I would not have seen that if I was playing that game.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if he plays bishop g7, and that'll complete our highlight coverage. Booyah. We clap for Andrew. Very good. Now we're going to move on to a different game. So that was cool. And let's go see what's going on board 2 of the K8. All right, your first thoughts, Braden, chess commentator extraordinaire, of what's going on in this position.
I'd say Black's king isn't very safe right now.
Okay.
It's in the middle of a bunch of pieces.
Okay.
But neither is White's king because it doesn't have very much protection.
Cool. That's true. Although in the end game, the kings in general can be a little more aggressive, right? So it's good for us to remember, right? The king kind of needs to be a fighting piece. You know, I kind of gave you a tough one when I said evaluate it. There's a reason that computer is right at that 50-50 line, right? When we see that bar.
Yeah.
Because this is a game that could very much go either way.
Except one has much less time than the other.
And very good. You are a chess commentator. You know what you just pointed out? The next thing I was going to point out, so whenever you do good chess commentaries, like you come to the board and you quickly set the stakes. So really you want to just highlight what's going on right then, and then you want to point out what's going on off the board, which is usually the clock, before you then talk about what they're competing for. That's actually a recipe we use, right? You go to the game, you're like, oh my gosh, XYZ is winning because of this, and look at the time because of this. And then remember, they're playing for this. I'm giving you chess commentary pro tips, right? Yeah. So here we would say, like, it's a totally crazy position. Either side could win, but look at the clock. White is way down on time. Let's remember, they're competing on board 2 of the K8 Championship. Welcome to the ChessKid National Festival. How's that? That's how you do it. That's how you do commentary. You just did it. You're a pro. And then we move on to the next game.
I think White's goal is to promote the D pawn right now.
Look at you.
That will give them a big winning position, and it's already close to promotion.
Booyah. I love it. And so that's why all of Black's pieces are kind of focused on that, right? Black is saying, hey, I got to do everything I can to stop that pawn from advancing. And in the meantime, if Black can just keep the position as is, who do you think's going to win this?
Probably Black, because White's going to get under time pressure and start to blunder a bit.
Man, I couldn't have said it better myself. There you go. So this is high stakes, and let's remember, whoever wins this game is going to stay pace with Andrew Wu, who we already said is on pace to winning over here on the top board. So now we've kind of talked about the top 2 K8 boards. Let's go to the board 3 before we move out of the K8 section. Our board 3.
Another one where time is low for White.
Look at you. You're all over. Another one where White is low on time, and that makes us super nervous about the position. So despite Black being much better, the situation off the board, actually no, so Black is much better and the situation off the board favors Black. So really Black is in control of this one all over. What else do you think we highlight here before we go check out another game?
If that queen moves off of that square, then the white knight can go to g7 and fork the rooks.
That's a very good point. One thing I like to highlight is what could go wrong. You know, one of the things that is scariest to me about this whole position is that White has a back rank checkmate problem, right? Yes. So not only is Black better already, because Black is up a pawn with a very strong bishop, but Black is also up on time. And as far as whose position is blunderable, Black is actually threatening to move this bishop to a number of squares and immediately open up the back rank problem, which could go very wrong, right? So if we're comparing us to golf right now, we're like, I don't know, do you play golf?
No.
That's that. You know what? Let's keep it that way. That's okay. I'm just kidding. We love you, golf. No, but this is a really tough spot, right? You got to hit a really perfect shot if you're white. I don't even know what that would look like.
White's king is stuck in the corner and
White.
it can't move.
Great point. The bishop keeps him stuck. There's a back rank problem. I would almost make a quick move here, like advance my pawn. And one advice I would give players is that sometimes you have to remember it's just a game, not a science, and you have to make the best decision you can. White is taking way too much time here for the situation. Just push the pawn and free your back rank. Try not to get checkmated. Probably the best chance that white has here.
Ooh, White's starting to run really low on time.
Yeah.
We're at 1 minute.
White's at 1 minute, and white did move. They actually brought their rook all the way back to guard the back rank.
And that's smart because now they can do the knight fork that I said earlier because they don't have to worry about the queen taking because they will take the queen with their
Very
queen.
good. That's heads up chess there by Braden. The queen is unleashed, so rook back to d1 is a very good move. It guards the back rank. It threatens the knight fork. And this is something we'll keep our eye on when we come back and find out whether black missed this fork or whether black maybe even makes a trade and then just opens up the back rank for white. So a lot of things that could happen in this one. We've now quickly looked. Everyone loves checkmate. We might want to head back to that board one where Andrew Wu in the K8 looks like he is moments away from checkmating the white king. In fact, puzzle rush time. Okay, he didn't see it. I'm going to challenge the crowd here and everyone at home. Puzzle rush time. Black to move in this position. It's not mate in 2, it's mate in 10. I saw the mating idea, but it doesn't actually work. It's funny. So I was thinking that white should actually play the move like bishop here to trap the king. And if the pawn moves, you have bishop to e1, checkmate. But actually the white king can get out. So the truth is, black probably did the right thing by corralling that pawn. And now it's just an easy position to get a checkmate here. So we'll let Andrew Wu finish it off. He'll be moving on to day 2, still perfect as the top board in K8. Right?
And again, his opponent's low on time.
Yep, opponent's low on time yet again. Very nice. Reminding us. Thank you, sir. Someone just brought us water here. All right, Braden. Let's see. I think we have one other kid who's been here a long time who wanted to join. You still want to come on? Okay, we got one other guy. Not that we won't get others on maybe later, but all right, we're going to bring on one more guest. Braden, this was a pleasure. Is that your username?
This on
Yeah.
ChessKid, yes. This
Yeah,
is.
GigaChad BP.
Yes.
That's a pretty good name. All right, well you were right here. Pound it. GigaChad commentary. I love it. And good luck in the rest of the event. Okay.
So,
All right.
have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Come on in, dude. Don't be shy. I'm here because I was told there would be chess. Will you show everybody your shirt real quick? This is what matters most, right here. Swag. I'm here because I was told there would be chess. And that is that is actually a thing now that is said at parties. And I know you're too young to remember this, but I'm going to give you some shocking news. You ready? When I was your age, they didn't think chess was cool. Can you believe that? That's mind-blowing. Like, think about what has changed in the chess world, right? In the world, right? Chess is cool, and people have chess parties, and you're a big part of that. So tell me your name.
Liam.
Liam, awesome name. And how old are you, Liam?
9.
9. And you're playing in the ChessKid National Festival. How you doing?
Good.
Good. You're playing pretty good. We see Andrew Wu got the job done, so that's a nice checkmate. Nice checkmate. You're playing pretty good. What's your score so far?
Well, I lost both games, but I went like 30 minutes.
That's awesome. You're playing well. You never lose when you're learning, and like you said, you're lasting longer. So how long have you been playing chess?
Year and a half.
A year and a half. So you're brand new to the game, and you're only 9? Awesome. I didn't even start playing until I was 10. So no matter what happens this year, you're playing with house money when it comes to comparing yourself to me. You're already way ahead of the game. You're already better than me. All right. Well, this is awesome, and we only got one more game going here, I think. So we should maybe do a little bit of chess together. But let me ask you, what has been your favorite part of the ChessKid National Festival?
Meeting you and FunMasterMike.
Meeting me and FunMasterMike. That is awesome. Thank you for saying that. Well, now this is one of my favorite parts of the ChessKid National Festival is meeting Liam. All right. Well, you want to do some chess commentary?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so we're in this position here. Black's doing pretty good. We got the help of our trusty computer, and there's a lot of low time on the clock. What are your thoughts?
I think black might win their position.
Yeah? You think black might win in the position? What would you do if you were black? What would be your plan here?
I would try move rook and try and capture the knight.
Try to move your rook up and capture the knight?
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing to highlight. This knight is on the edge of the board, right? He's kind of all alone over there. Maybe there is a way for black to trap him. You could even maybe think about the queen coming over, right? Right now I see black is taking his time. What do you think about that? Is that a good call for him to take his time right now, given that he's got so much of it? Right? He's playing nice and slow. There's something really important I want to highlight there, that a big mistake people make sometimes, Liam, when their opponent has no time. Like you see, how much time does white have?
25 seconds.
That's not very much time, right? It's really easy to want to play fast and just rush when our opponents are low. But one of the things you learn as you mature is that, and as you play a lot of chess games, is that often the easiest thing to do if you're the one with 25 seconds is to face someone who's playing super fast. Because usually then you both have the same amount of time. I only have 25 seconds and this guy's playing instantly, so at least we're equal. When you slow down and play good moves, that is actually, ironically, the fastest way to get your opponent to lose on time. So speaking to everybody out there, what we're seeing black do here is very, very mature. To take a second to find a good move, that's actually, it's not what you want to do. All your emotions are going crazy and you want to play fast. But my coach would say you could sit on your hands a little bit. You ever sit on your hands like this?
Yeah, I do that all the time.
And just force yourself to use your brain, right? Your brain makes the moves, not your hands. I love this move, bishop d5 by black, because it opened up the rooks. And I'm expecting something like rook e2 here, where black is going to just bring everybody together to attack. So it turns out I was wrong when I said this was the last game. I want to quickly go to the next game, and I'm going to let you be the chess commentator. I'm going to give you a challenge, okay? So we go to a game, and what we do for the audiences at home is we remind them quickly of what we're looking at. We say, now we're going to the K5 section. We're going to tell them where we're going and why. We're going to quickly describe what we see on the board, and we're going to try to do what we can to sort of set the table and explain the stakes. So we talk about just the highest level position. We talk about what's going on the clock, and then we remind people why they should be excited to stay and keep watching. You ready to do this? All right, you're in charge of the commentary. Go.
I think they move the queen up to white queen up
Yeah.
to e8.
Okay, so you're quickly pointing out we got checks. Yeah.
But the queen could also capture.
Okay, and what do we describe next as a commentator? Now that we've talked a little bit about the chess, what do we want to point out next?
I don't know.
Well, usually what we do is we say things like, here's what I would do, ready? I would say, okay, now we're going to the K5 section with two of the top players. So I've told people why we're here or what we're looking at. And I would quickly say, we're in a crazy position where both kings are open. Look, both kings are open. Black has checks. White has checks. We got a lot of things that could happen here. And as we look at the clock, both sides are also pretty equal on time. So the truth is, we've quickly set the stakes of, hey, we're in a really important game of the K5 section. That's what I did. Top players. A game where both sides could win because both kings are open. And the truth is, both the eval bar, the computer, and the clocks tell us that this is anybody's game. So buckle up, because we got all kinds of crazy things that could happen here, right? So that's what we do when we do commentary. We quickly say, this is what's going on in the position. Or actually, we say, this is what we're looking at. The kids in the top 5 who are in the top section. This is what we're looking at. This is what's going on. And now this is why it matters, right? Don't go anywhere, because there's anything can happen here. It's anybody's game. And that makes me nervous as a fan. I go, oh my God, he's right. What could happen here, right? They got checks. We got checks, we got checks, I mean, this is a blunderable position. We could see something really dramatic in any moment. So if I'm looking at this game, now that I've said that, we would make a decision. Do we want to look at one of those checks? Do we want to show what could happen if somehow black could get all these pieces checking in here? Who knows? Maybe nothing happens because actually white will turn around and flip the script. So maybe black, once we show a line like that, should be safe and try to get out. Who knows, right? So what we do is we're trying to quickly let people know what this is, what's going on, and why it matters, right? Can you do that as a commentator? I know.
Hope so.
Okay, that's what we're doing. That's all. Really, that's all we're doing. It's actually not rocket science. I'm giving away all my secrets here. Okay? You want to do it again? Let's go back. So we're going to go to this one. I want you to say, like, this is our section. Okay, we've got 2 good players playing. And then quickly say the most important thing you see on the chessboard and tell us what's going on. Ready? Let's do it. Oh, what? Well, twist ending. The game is over. So not your fault. We just went there. The game is over. But tell us what we just saw. Who won? Black won. And what was the last move they played? Yeah, and what do you see about that move? You know what that symbol means right there? It means that's a brilliant move. It's a brilliant move. On chess.com, we have this really cool thing that tells us it's a brilliant move. Guys, it's a sacrifice. Black won this game with a brilliancy. How cool is that? Now, we don't always get to end our chess games that way. That's pretty awesome, right? So let's show why. You can also do it even when a game's over to show everybody why this was so cool. So this sacrifice blew open the white king. If white doesn't take the rook, it's checkmate on the next turn. But guess what? Taking doesn't even matter because black can bring the queen in, and after the king moves, black keeps checking the king until eventually they actually win just about everything and bring everybody in for a big checkmate. What's crazy is I don't know how deeply black calculated that, but if he went all the way, that's super impressive. Krishna sacrifices a rook to end the game, and that's some pretty awesome chess right there. Yeah? Yeah? How's that? Is that fun? Okay. Well, I've had a great time commentating with you. We've only got one more game going. Might as well stay and help me finish here. What do you think? Although actually this game could go on for a while. So we see black has checked the white king. What do you want to talk about here?
That move the king to G3.
That's a good move. I feel like why is that a good move?
But if you put your bishop to H4, then the queen will capture and you won't get the queen back.
Yeah.
Your check
And so that taken is a big problem, right? So the king would move to G2 and get the safety, right? This is a crazy game, right? I mean, seriously, both sides are getting their time pressure. We see that white has a little bit